Good evening, welcome to Rivalz Race Chat. Clinton and Adam here as we are weekly. I'm at the Speedway, Adam, and you're at your usual couch. But hey, we got work to do because it's race week at the Big O, and there's lots of stuff going on to get ready for Friday, including keeping the sun out, which Mother Nature says looking fantastic for the weekend. So we're excited about that.
Mother Nature plays such a big part in what we do. Talking to Brian Toddish Saturday up at Sunset Speedway, they do a good job with promoting events and creating buzz. You still need Mother Nature to cooperate, and they had a huge crowd up there Saturday. CTMP Sunday, the biggest crowd I have ever seen for the main long weekend event. Biggest car count for the main long weekend event, too.
Yeah, I would say, with the exception of a few examples locally here, I mean, even if you look back to the Oshweekend opener, 90 cars, plus cars, almost 400 people in the pits for a practice, which is unheard of. CTMP, like you said, massive crowd. Like they announced that during opening ceremonies, the biggest crowd they've ever had for that May 2-4 weekend event, which is awesome. Delaware's always booming. We got so much good things we talked about. We got to hang out at Merrittville and be fans of it last night. Thanks to T-Mac and the crew for the chicken wings and the free beer. We always appreciate what you do for us. Good time just to be a fan there. They were jammed too, and that was their second night of the weekend. I don't know. I got to feel like we're on the right path to start the season.
No, 100%. Great crowd at Merrittville, great field of cars. By the time the fifth feature rolled out last night, Clinton, I was tired today. I was dragging my ass today. But I really do think they watered the track at intermission. I think a little bit more water got on there than they expected, and it's something you can't take back.
Yeah, Freddie Carlton won the Brian Stevens Memorial, the 10th annual. I have been hounding Freddie all day on Facebook, texting and calling him. I've not been able to reach him in any way. We definitely tried to get Freddie on to honor the memory of Brian Stevens. I know it meant a lot to Freddie to get that win. Merrittville wins are tough to come by, but also to win the Brian Stevens Memorial, a guy that we all kind of grew up watching and racing against. And so it was good to see Freddie got that done. We're going to keep working on him. We did talk to Freddie a couple weeks back, and he said he was putting an engine together. So I don't know whether he's ducking us, big time on us, or what the deal is, but we will work on getting Fast Fred Carlton here on the show. Who is coming on the show tonight? Marc-Antoine Cameron, the winner of the NASCAR Canada Series at CTMP on the weekend. Matt Weaver is going to come on, and for those regulars here on the program, they know who Matt Weaver is. Matt Weaver is a NASCAR beat reporter in the heart of the brawl on Sunday night. So the punch heard round the world. We'll discuss that. Matt Weaver was right there in the middle of it all. I'm pretty darn certain some of the videos everybody's been sharing or might have even been Matt's. So we'll get to the bottom of that. It was great timing, Adam, because he said last week when we reached out, I'm at Wilkesboro. How about next Tuesday? So as soon as that went down, we're like, yeah, Matt, right? Matt's always a good dude to get on this program.
Mm-hmm. And thank goodness for that altercation, because otherwise there was nothing to get really pumped up about from that all-star race.
We got so much cool stuff to talk about that. Old school going down, Ricky versus Kyle, as you see on the rundown. And J.R. Fitzpatrick's going to join us. He stepped out from the APC Series, went down to race in Michigan, had some engine problems, but he'll talk about the competition in the super late models in Michigan and why he left the Ontario scene. Didn't leave it. He's still part of the family. He's just sticking his toe in a different pond for a little while. But we'll talk to J.R. Fitzpatrick about that. And if I can get a response from Fred Carlton, you'd be damn sure we're going to try and get him on. News here at Oshweekend as we get ready to go for opening week. Take two. It'll be trucker night. Anybody with an AZDZ trucker license, come on and you get $5 off at the gate. Of course, community night is in 2 weeks, which we're excited to do that. But I'm excited here, Adam. I'm actually at the Speedway for a purpose tonight, other than just the tech barn background. But the folks from Musco came in from Oskaloosa, Oklahoma, and New Jersey today with some big rigs, and they improved all the lighting here at the Big O, all new bulbs and all the lenses cleaned and re-aimed. So they wanted us here after dark tonight to take a look at the finished product, make sure it's the way we want it. So I drew the short stick as manager, and that's what happened. So I'm out here to do our show, and after it'll be dark. Hopefully when it gets dark, we'll rotate the set a bit and give you a look at what the lights. I don't think you're going to tell a difference, but you'll see they're on and they work for Friday. So that's good. Before I get off that topic, Donald from Ablaze Lighting also replaced all of our fence lighting. So all the green, yellows, and red lights that you see as a driver and kind of our caution lights, if you will, they were all replaced last week as well, and they're going to be even better this year. So super excited.
Marc-Antoine is asking if you sent the email, Clint.
Yes, I did, to BMW at that email. And you should have gotten it as well.
Let's just see.
Let me see while we're talking.
No, I did not get it. I got the APC Rev TV broadcast schedule. That's the last thing I received from you.
My email says I sent it to you at 9 hours ago at 10:57 a.m. You and Spencer got it. Spencer,
Oh,
can
that
you verify
early?
you?
That early?
Yeah, that early.
10:57 a.m. Good God.
For me, shut up.
Yeah, I did get it. Okay, so hang on.
So tell him to scroll back. Maybe he wasn't expecting an email that early from me either. So that's
No, you're
fine.
kind. I
Burger
just
Bar and Bit of the
forwarded
Week
it
stuff
to
will
him.
be here as well. And we'll get Mark Antoine came around here on the program shortly. But Indy 500 week as well, we'll talk about the double duty, and I'm sure Matt Weaver has some thoughts on that and how that's going to affect Kyle Larson. You know, a lot of the guys are pissed off about that, Adam? Like, a lot of the Indy guys do not like that Kyle Larson is coming in and running as good as he is. You know, and it's been a lot of controversy about that. He's making it look too easy.
Eat a bag of dongs. Well, the guy's got talent and they're pissed off. Oh, I'm sorry. Daddy's check can't buy you enough talent to beat Kyle Larson.
You know, let's.
That's aimed at nobody in
up.
particular, but suck it up. Like, you should want everyone who's. So this is and it's so peculiar because the Indy 500 is a tough race to win, right?
Yeah.
My biggest race of the year is the Daytona 500. And it's bizarre because it's almost like a lottery if you win that race. It's not often the best car that wins that race, but you have to have things go your way. The Indy 500 requires skill. So I could see people in NASCAR being disappointed if an outsider came in and tried to win that lottery. But people at Indy, go do your damn job. Are you better than everyone in the world, or are you better than everyone except the ones you want to bitch about? Like, shut the hell up and drive.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, I would love to see Larson go out and do it as a dirt guy, showing that the roots of Indy still run through the dirt fields would make us all feel great. And I'm excited about the weekend. I love Indy as the spectacle that it is. I find it shocking, Adam, that it is still blocked out in Indy. Okay, I watch Pat McAfee show all the time, and they're talking about it's still blocked out in Indy. Can you believe that a race that big is blocked out at home? Are we really? It just to me seems small-minded thinking that in this day and age, anything would still be blacked out to force people to go.
I would want to know why.
They get over 1 million people half the time.
You know what's fun, Clinton? So, some people who've lost their parents get sad on Mother's Day or Father's Day or on their birthdays. I don't get sad, but this Sunday was my dad's day. Memorial Day weekend, Monaco Grand Prix, Indy 500, Charlotte 600. There was no way in hell he'd be able to stay awake for all of it, but every time he woke up, he'd be right back to it. And it's just such a neat deal.
I would suggest to anybody who maybe not an Indy super fan or, you dabble, make an effort to catch the pre-race because Indy pre-race is just the pomp and circumstance there. Jim Neighbors singing back home in Indiana and all that, all that history of all that. It's just great. And the way they introduced the drivers, I thought it was amazing. Did you happen to catch, while we're waiting for Mark Antoine to get on board, I got him covered up with my screen here. He's ready. So bring him on if we're ready. And we'll talk a little bit more about Indy. Just popped on.
There
Mark,
he is.
how's it going? Can you hear us?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good, man.
Good, man. Congratulations. What a big deal. How big of a relief is it, Mark, to go to the first race of the year, knock off a win? Like, how important is that for your race team?
Well, it's really important. Mosport, I love success at Mosport and to kick the season with a win like that. To be honest, the car was not the perfect yesterday, but we have a great pit stop, and we did that decision to change only 2 tires on the left side, and but yeah, I was happy for the team, for the GM Payet team, to start the season with a win. And everybody is pumped now to go at Chaudière in 2 weeks.
CTMP is a classic place. What a crowd they had there Mark, let's talk about the runs you've had to start these last couple of years. You had arguably the best series record 2 years ago, another fantastic year last year. And then, Trayton had just a bit better year, but your stats have been amazing these last 2 years. In racing, it goes in ebb and flow all the time. How do you, how do you keep that momentum going year after year?
Well, I think the key is I have a great team behind me. Robin McCloskey and Soot, they are give me like great opportunity to have a good car race after race. And at the end, also I think the best sponsor. When I met JC Payet in 2016 for the first time in Tualia, they sponsored me, and then since that we have a really good relationship, and we need we have all the best stuff, and to drive that car, it's kind of an honor. Sometimes it's kind of too easy to drive.
Wow. Well, and you know what? You've shown so much skill on the road courses and the ovals. Clint and I were just talking about the Indy 500. You first started coming to CTMP to Mosport back in the 90s. Mark, what was your career in your mind in the 90s? Where were you going?
Actually, I was more Formula driver. I get out from the go-kart, and I win a championship in 1997 in Formula 1600. And my dream was to get a career in the Formula car open wheel. On that time, I was like part of that players development with Richard Spenard and all those guys. And my dream was to drive IndyCar and replace at someday. A good friend of mine, Patrick Carpentier, and Greg Moore. Greg Moore was a huge person on that deal, the players development. It's too bad that he's not there anymore, but he was a good driver and really, really good person.
So Clint, I got a couple of follow-ups to that. Did you think, I don't want to say did you think your career was over, but if you'd have said to yourself in the 90s, hey, you're not going to get to where you wanted to go, but in the 2020s, you're going to be a national champion stock car racer.
Yeah,
what would you have said?
In 2015, when I did a few seasons in US racing in Grand Am, and then after that, when I get back here, I thought my career was over. To be honest, okay, I'm gonna get some fun running, BMW with my dad and prep it and do like a few races here and there with my dad at the 12 year, and I got that call like 1 week before the GP3R in 2013. He said, okay, if you run in Sportsman Series, and if you win, you have an opportunity to run in Canadian Tire Series. Well, let's do it. And that was my, racing career. We started there in NASCAR. So without doing that, thanks Dominic Figueroa, he bring me there and put me on the car. And the next day I was racing in the NASCAR Canadian Tire, and I put the car top 3. I think we qualified third at that race, and this is where I met my actual crew chief, Robin McCloskey, and Derek White. Derek White gave me the opportunity to drive the car. So everything started there.
And Clint, this is why I wanted to go there. It took a while to get here, but you are such a natural stock car racer because your level of aggression. How many open wheel cars did you crash? Because in a fendered car, you were an animal. You can't come from open wheels and come into a stock car like you do. And you were meant to race stock cars.
I crashed a few cars, to be honest with you, in Formula car, but I was running with my dad, and we are, really, really low budget team. So I was trying to save the car and not crash that much, but I destroyed a couple one. Actually, at Mosport on the last before they changed the bottom of 2, it was like really narrow, and I crashed a couple times there. But yeah, well, the first couple of years I raced in NASCAR, I was kind of shy, I was not used to that kind of style of driving. bop and run and hit the fender in there. But after a couple of years, I get used to it.
Mark, let's talk about the upcoming season. You know, you're off to a fantastic start, going to lead the race number one with the points lead. You know,
Yes.
going into Chaudière, how do you feel about that? Is it a place you're comfortable with? And, how do you feel your shots are to just keep this momentum rolling?
I think we're in pretty good shape for Valley. We won there last year. We bring a really nice car, and we're supposed to go test again this week to get the car ready. And all the team are really pumped. And after that, after Chaudière, I don't want to go too far away, but after that, we're going out east, and Newfoundland. The car was like a rocket last year, so we're really pumped to go Chaudière. Let's do Chaudière first, but all the crowd that's gonna be it's gonna be really great over there. It's like Mosport last weekend. I never seen people like that at the track. So, congrats to the CTMP and Ron Fellows. They did a hell of a job, and the people was there. The people was like incredible over there. So, congrats to those guys.
Now, Mark, you would go and race and have fun even if there was no crowd. But how big of a difference does it make when you're out on the pace lap and you can see people all the way around the track lined up at the fence, 3-4 people deep, the campgrounds are full?
Yeah.
Does that affect you as a driver?
Of course. I mean, during the COVID, we did a few races. It was kind of a GP3R without any fans in the stand. It was kind of a bizarre deal, but yeah, we do need those, the fans and the spectator. Like you said, the camper was like totally packed this weekend, so it's really fun to race for the fans and give them like a hell of a show that we did this weekend, because the competition year after year it's like it's getting bigger and bigger, and it's hard to get through the field now. When I did the pit stop, I came back like I was about in 10th place, and then the car are hard to pass. I mean, their competition is getting higher, so they are hard to pass. It's hard to get through the field now.
Mark, looking forward, what track has you concerned? Which one maybe is, are you looking for a better run than you've had the past?
I would say Oshwiken. Last year we struggled a little bit. The first year we went there, car was pretty good. Last year we struggled a little bit, and I think this year we have to work a little bit more to get the car a bit better over there, or the driver could be better also to get used to the dirt.
Well, you did some dirt racing last year, did you not? Was it
Yes, I
Granby or
did.
Drummond?
Yes, I did the Saint
Did
Marcel
it?
and in Granby with the one team, the one that they sponsored by Paye also. But it's so
Yeah.
it's so different. The car is so different, so you can really compare that. And the thing is, it's like the track is changing so fast, and race after race, or not race after race, but session after session. So it's hard to get used to the track. Actually, that's the main thing.
No, that's for sure. Well, Mark, we won't keep you, but fantastic job on the weekend. It was fun to watch. You're always entertaining to watch. We love your racing style. You fit right into the NASCAR series. And selfishly, you give me something to talk about quite often. So same reason I thank Kevin Lacroix. I thank you as well, because there's always something to talk about.
All right. Well, if I can do that in the future, I will. I will do it again. I like race on that kind of car, and let's try to win another championship. I know it's early in the season, but the focus is on that. Finish the race and do my best race after race.
Right on, Mark. Thanks for joining
Awesome.
us tonight.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. He's
Mark
such a
Cameron, the winner.
Yeah. Sorry about taking that over, but I did. He mentioned something in the press conference after the race that you don't go to the press conference afterwards, but he talked about his experience going back to the 1990s, competing at Mosport. And I got thinking, my God, that's 25 years ago. Like 1999 was 25 years ago. So the trajectory of his career. But would you agree he is suited to stock car racing?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we alluded a bit to it there. You and I followed this series, covered it for the last 2, and now going on another season here. Like, he had stats that were unbelievable 2 years ago. And then Trayton's, everybody thought, oh, Mark fell off, but his stats were just as good. Trayton's were just that much better last year. And that kind of changed, the impression everybody had of Mark. But his season was definitely backed up last year.
It would have won.
A fantastic start again.
Yeah, his season last year would have won some years, but Trayton just had an unbelievable year. So, but yeah, they definitely hold the hot hand. But what we noticed in the tower, looking at the times from about 5th back to 20th, people have improved like a full second. Glenn Stiers turned his best lap by like 3 seconds this weekend compared to previous times he's been to CTMP. Like, so many teams are upping their game.
Yeah, I was talking to Glenn before the race there. We were sitting around, and he said, he's so used to throwing it in and leaning on that right side that pitching it in and letting it work on the left. So he was talking about building a reverse sprint car, building a Thunderstock to go the other way so he could practice sliding it into the turns that way. And if you watch that clip that we showed during Mark's segment there, you see they're assy as all heck coming out of the last couple turns to win that race. So, they're certainly not planted the whole way around. Those guys are driving those cars and slipping and sliding. It's easy to see why they can handle them. We're still waiting on Matt Weaver to join us here. I sent him a message, and I don't know where he's at, but he should be joining us shortly. Jared Fitzpatrick's also scheduled to join us. Here comes Matt. I see him waving up to us now. Maybe he's just hiding in the darkness, but that's cool.
He's a busy man. He probably had autographs to sign.
This week, he's probably like crazy busy because everybody wants to know what happened. Without further ado, let's bring in Matt Weaver. Matt, thanks so much for joining us. I'm thankful that I caught you last week and you said this week you'd come on because I got to hold you to it. But man, what a night. Let's I'm sure you want to recap the whole week at Wilkesboro, but shit, man, Sunday was crazy.
Well, I'll say it this way. We suffered through a lot of rain just to get to Sunday, and Sunday from a competition standpoint kind of lacked a little bit, but we certainly had some of the post-race theatrics, and that's good for business. But man, the rain that we had really killed the week because, we had the Cars Tour Pro late models rained out. Cars Tour late model stocks got rained out. Truck Series got pushed to Sunday, and then finally the Cup race on Sunday. But listen, I'll say this. I used to drive by North Wilkesboro every single time I would go to a race at Bristol. I like to vacation up in the mountains in North Carolina. We call that the high country. So every single time I would drive, to the high country, I would pass North Wilkesboro, and it was just sitting there. It was dying. It was decrepit. It was gone. So even if the race, we're still trying to figure out ways to make the competition better on short tracks. It's a freshly paved track, so that creates some challenges too. I don't care. I'm happy we get to go back to North Wilkesboro. There's Cars Tour races, NASCAR. The NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour is there every fall now. So I'm just happy that we have North Wilkesboro to try to figure out.
Matt, of all the chatter that I've heard the last day and a half, logistics is one of the biggest problems. So it seems like the fight is being fairly heavily promoted. I don't want to say celebrated, but it's being celebrated. People are talking about it. But what they're talking about was the third parties that jumped in that really create a lot of chaos in that situation. Were you right in the center of that as well?
Yeah, I was. If you go and look at my social media pages, got some really good video from that one. That was one of the better ones that I was in the middle of. And in fact, I see the video playing now, and there I am. And people joke just like, man, you didn't flinch at all. And I'm like, man, I'm a short track guy. To me, that's just a typical Saturday night. I've shot at least 30 of those. Listen, Joey Logano is kind of a afterthought this week. But even he said it. He's like, no one's talking about the fact that we won, and they probably shouldn't, because, and Joey rightfully pointed out that NASCAR never gets on ESPN anymore. They're never on Sports Center.
Yeah.
They're never on CNN and Fox News, and mainstream media talked about NASCAR. Now, listen, you want them to talk about the racing. You want them to talk about a photo finish, which we've had 2 of this year. But if they're talking about a fight, that has value too. I mean, NASCAR would not be the most prominent motorsport in North America, if it wasn't for a fight in the 1979 Daytona 500. And so I think we need to remind people how much these competitors, these racers, care. I mean, we're not so much celebrating a fight as much as we are celebrating the fact that Ricky Stenhouse cares so much about his season and the way that race played out, that he wanted to fight over it. That Kyle Busch is so passionate, so mad about the way that his season has gone, that he was willing to dump, unfairly, in my opinion, Ricky Stenhouse to voice his displeasure. That's real feeling, real emotion, raw. And I think that's just good for motorsport. It's good for sport.
I mean, Ricky certainly went old school there, said he was going to do it, did exactly what he said he was going to do at the end of the race, didn't bow out, stood up to it. And the classic picture of, him leaning against the hauler as Busch is coming back is an awesome one. But, Matt, these situations, like you say, mainstream media, they don't really seem to care. We have the same problem here. They don't care around here until we have a major tragedy. And then they're all calling us and trying to get our sound bites, So it's just sad that it takes something like that, because the racing has been so amazing. I mean, we've had one hell of a NASCAR season. For anybody who wants to talk shit about NASCAR, the racing has been badass so far, So it's just crazy. What did you make of Dale Earnhardt's comment today that we need to cement and block up all of the tunnels so none of these drivers can leave till the end of the race, and we might see more of this?
Yeah, I mean, he said that in jest, but I'll go back to something Dale Jr. said that I think has more merit. That's probably something that's really worth chewing on a little bit more. And listen, the NASCAR Cup season has been good, but there is one glaring omission, and that's the short tracks. This car just does not race well on short tracks. And Dale said, I think 2 weeks ago, that we're already talking about getting rid of a Richmond and taking that race to Mexico City. That if NASCAR eventually wants to go to Montreal, it's probably going to come at the expense of a short track, and we don't have that many. We put dirt on Bristol there for a couple of years, and Dale's point is that when short track racing is good, it does more to progress the sport, to progress storylines, to progress the personalities than any other version of our sport. And I think that even with this car, that's still this big riddle for the industry to sort out. We tried the tire experiment. It was a reminder that short track racing, when it's at its best, can advance those rivalries, advance those storylines, the Yarboroughs and the Allisons, Dale Sr. and Rusty Wallace, Darrell Waltrip and Rusty Wallace and Dale Sr., Joey Logano, Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski, Ross Chastain versus the world. Short track racing is how we kind of advance those personalities, because we can't have someone, I'll put it this way, we can't have Kyle Busch, whether it was fair or foul, intentionally wrecking someone at 1.5 miles. We saw that at Charlotte last year, and Denny got wrecked by Chase Elliott, and he sat down for a race. And you can do that on short track. And so we have to fix the short tracks. I know we're trying the tires. They're not trying horsepower, but it's just a reminder that we need short track racing to be healthy, because it's good for business.
Was the tire issue at Bristol, obviously that was not an anticipated problem, but boy, oh boy, did it ever turn out cool. If they could have reproduced that level of fall off at North Wilkesboro with the option tire, I guess what I'm asking is how can they stumble upon great storyline by accident and then purposefully try to bring a tire that can change strategy and fall short of that mark?
Well, so what made Bristol so unpredictable and compelling is that no one saw it coming, right? Like everyone thought that the track would take rubber and that would be that, and it didn't. The whether it was the cold temperatures, running the resin instead of the PJ1 track bite, the crew chiefs and the engineers they were not able to predict how the racing conditions would be. It was remarkable. On Friday, they got a practice session in at North Wilkesboro, and everyone said the option tire, the crossover point between the two tires would be about 30 laps, 20 to 30 laps before the option tire would start to fall off below the primary tire. And I'm sure all day on Saturday and Sunday morning, the engineers and the crew chief went to their war rooms and figured out the best possible setup to make that primary or the option, the softer tire, live. And by the time they crunched the numbers and did the CFD runs and all the simulator stuff, they made that tire last 100 laps, and it was no different at all than the harder primary tire. And so the one thing that concerns me a little bit is now Goodyear is starting to say, well, that was our softest tire. That was the same chemical compound as the rain tire, the wet tire. We can't go any softer than that. One, I don't believe them. But let's say it's true. Let's say they really believe. First of all, if they really believe that, well, then let's go talk to Continental, Hoosier, American Racer. I'm sure we can find someone to do the job that Goodyear says they can't make any softer than this. I don't think that's true. But let's say it is true. If it is true, then I think the answer moving forward is, okay, you made that tire last 100 laps in a 200-lap race at Wilkesboro. Okay, fine. That's your only set. Figure it out. Make it last 200 laps. Good luck. And for a 400-lap race, whatever, just start to limit tires. I mean, some of the best late model races that I watch here in the Carolinas is at a super abrasive track like Florence, South Carolina. They have the South Carolina 400 there, and it's a 300-lap race, one set of tires, the most abrasive quarter mile in the state, and they qualify at like 16, I think it's like 16.3. They take the green flag and they're going 19 seconds, 20 seconds. They keep backing it up, 21 seconds. They're all packed up. If you want track position, I saw someone drive Ty Majeski, who won the race 2 years in a row, started at the back 1 year because he got a provisional. Ty Majeski drove all the way from 34th to 1st in 3-4 laps because everyone else is running 20-second laps. He wanted track position. He abused his tires for 3 or 4 laps, made it worthwhile. So I think if Goodyear really says that's the softest tire they have, one, bring it everywhere, because keep in mind Wilkesboro was freshly paved. I think that tire would fade more at a Richmond, at an Iowa, New Hampshire. But if that tire is still super durable, limit them.
Matt, before we move on, one last question we got for you. Kyle Larson and Indy spectacle. What are your thoughts on that? What's maybe a story we're missing in the whole Indy deal with Kyle Larson?
Yeah, I'm watching a good bit of that too. I haven't been to Indy in 3 years, which breaks my heart because I used to do the month of May every year from 2013. Oh, we got some feedback there from Gio. I used to do that race for like 10 years, and I miss being there, but I'm still watching. And, I think what we've learned the last 2 weeks is that Aero McLaren, their stuff is very good, but also Kyle Larson is just a very adaptable race car driver. And the fact that he was able to jump in a dirt late model and within his second start was winning a Lucas Oil race, went on to win some World of Outlaw races, to me, that shows you how versatile he is. The current Cup car is very similar from a platform standpoint. As an IndyCar, it breaks my heart to say that. Kyle even said that it's like running now that he's done both, the Cup car is like running a slow IndyCar. And so I think that probably helps him get up to speed too. But just the overriding theme to me is that I think Kyle Larson is the best race car driver in the world. And I know that's going to make F1 world so angry. And I've seen it all week. But I think that if you put Kyle Larson in the old Race of Champions they used to have internationally, where they run like all these different race cars, I think Kyle beats a Max Verstappen in like 6 of 8 different disciplines. So the end, full stop. I think Kyle's the best race car driver in the world. And so it's not surprising to me that he's fast. Arrow McLaren is fast. They've given him a great car. And to me, the thing I'm most looking forward to watching is we've seen him qualify well. It's a different story when you have to go race it, right? And he's never raced in this sort of environment. So I am as interested as all of us in watching what happens on Sunday.
Right
well,
on.
Matt, we appreciate your insight, your knowledge. We appreciate you spending some time with us. We know how busy you are. So thanks for stopping by, man. And enjoy your season. We'll be talking to you soon.
Absolutely. Good talking to you guys as always. See y'all next time.
Appreciate your time, Matt. Matt Weaver, always on the scene at the biggest events in the racing world. Great to have him with us here weekly. We'll move now into J.R. Fitzpatrick, who is racing with the super late models this season. Spent the weekend down in Michigan. He'll tell us how his weekend went whenever we get him on. And there he is. J.R., welcome back to the program. How you doing, man?
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry about the feedback. I was my 4-year-old was about to rip the patio door off. I had to go stop that.
It's all good.
It's all good, man. Tell us about Owasso, Michigan.
Wasso is wow. It was honestly, it is like a Jacasta vibe, man. I mean, it was packed. So many people. It was a first for me. Okay, so we're sitting in the pits. And we heard, excuse me, race fans, such and such license plate number. You might want to go to your car. It's on fire. Like, it's the first I've ever heard of that. So, like, my wife, Laura, is right there. I guess some old car, Crown Victoria, was sitting right beside her camper, and all of a sudden just lit up on fire. Like, it's just a wild weekend from the start all the way to the end. And we've seen some interesting things, but Owasso Speedway and Reveal the Hammer Series was an awesome experience. I had a ton of fun. The track is absolutely beautiful. All the work they're doing there is pretty amazing. Yeah, man, I had a blast. I really did.
You know, JR, leaving the APC series this weekend, did you miss your buddies racing up at Sunset? I know the series missed you a bit, but what a finish it was. Did you get to watch any of that?
Yeah, you know, it was different. You know, driving to Michigan on the Friday there, you know, I was sitting there thinking, man, like, this has been the first time I haven't gone to an APC race since 2018. So I certainly missed everybody. But obviously the race was exciting. It was amazing. I watched. I was watching your guys' podcast or your show during the modified race in Owasso, and man, I was so happy for Junior Farley. He deserved it. But honestly, I'm not gonna lie, no offense to Junior, I was pulling for Blair Wickett because I know how hard those guys work, and I'm big fans of theirs. And what a race! It was a great race, and yeah, moving on to Flamborough, we might have to go shake that up a little bit. I haven't really decided yet. You may or may not see us.
Right on.
Oh, I love that. That's a great teaser. JR, talk about the level of competition down at Owasso and driving these super lates. You can burn the rear tires off of one of these cars if you overdrive it. Like, how much do you have to conserve? How hard can you race? What's the competition like?
It's awesome. Honestly, the competition's really high. I felt like a little guy because I seen about 6 or 8, you know, big stacker 53 footers coming in, and these beautiful cars rolling out with all the equipment you could ever dream and think of. And I felt small for sure, but everybody was really nice. I think in practice, the top 25 were separated by, I think, 3/10. We were struggling a lot in practice just because I was having a little miss in the engine that we couldn't really figure out. We thought it was a battery, and long story short, it ended up being a valve spring that broke on us. But the competition is really tight. In qualifying, I think if I would have picked up a half a tenth, I would have went from 16th to 6th. So it was pretty wild, man. But yeah, the competition was great. So they don't run spotters or mirrors. So that was a challenge for me in the race because obviously I can't hear that well. So I was literally like looking left and right. Like the last time I did that is when I drove, I think, Chris Lawrence's bone stock, and the pace was just a little bit different. Like Owasso, you're hauling ass there. I think we were doing like 120 miles an hour down the straightaway. So it was literally a learning experience for sure. But the competition was tough, man. It was a ton of fun.
Jero, we saw you had a miss, and then those that follow your social saw you mentioned the valve spring. Any other damage done to the motor there, or was this something you guys just got lucky with? Because, when metal starts breaking inside the power plant, it's never good.
Fortunately enough, I took the valve cover off yesterday and I found all the pieces. It was all just sitting off the side, so that's a really good thing.
Good.
We're having I got a little bit of a slow week this week and last week, so I actually took the engine to AP Performance today, and Dennis is going to get right on that for me and investigate why it happened. But yeah, he's pretty certain that the valve didn't hit the piston, so we should be pretty lucky there because for whatever reason it just stayed up and didn't come down, so we're really lucky there. So yeah, he should have it fixed up, and our next stop is hopefully Sunset Speedway and on June 1st, and see if we can go hook that power plant to the ground there because back to what you were saying, Adam, like the supers, what I think I really enjoy is when the car is good, it's still a handful to drive. Like I was just rolling to the gas. There was a couple times there, I was thinking prolate, right? Getting right to the gas, and then all of a sudden you come out too, and you're like it's just the power is just unreal. Like I think, like I'm pretty sure I don't have as much power as a lot of people, and I got like 778 or something like that, and there's guys there with SB2s having 9200 just screaming. Like it was just amazing experience, and they're just so much fun to drive. I mean, our result wasn't good, but our race was really good, and I came home smiling. Even though the engine was hurt, I came home with a big smile on my face.
You know what, JR? That matters. You've done what there is to do in racing. So now if you're not enjoying it, if you're not getting some satisfaction out of whatever you're doing, you might as well stay home. How important is that? Being able to come home smiling, have your crew, like, was the crew satisfied with what you all accomplished on the weekend?
Yeah, I think everybody was pretty happy. I mean, we were all pretty kind of nervous going down, right? Because we didn't really know what to expect. We had no expectations. The first expectation was getting across the border. We exceeded that, thankfully. And then the next one was making the race. So in practice, we were, I think, the first one like 14th, and then we ended up 22nd in practice. So I wasn't too happy about that. But then I started seeing that guys were putting tires on. So then we qualified 16th again, not too happy with that. But once the race started, man, we were hauling the mail. Like that car was turning so good. The miss was still there. So that was hurting us a little bit on the horsepower side of things, but it could have been helping us too, because I could really get to the throttle pretty well. We drove up the 4th, battling for 3rd. So, I mean, we exceeded our expectations by a long shot. I think if the race worked out the same way and we finished, we would have finished 2nd or 3rd for sure, which is great. I would like to go back and with all 8 cylinders and just see how we do. Yeah, I mean, my family had a great time. My crew had a great time. I had a ton of fun. And really what made me really happy is the amount of recognition we got. Like I couldn't believe I watched the race today, and it really makes me feel good that, like, on the American side, that the Canadian content is getting exposed, and us drivers are getting a lot of recognition, and it really made me proud.
Right on, JR. We appreciate everything you do for us here on this program too. It's good to have you out waving that flag for all of us. What's the biggest race you're excited about this summer? Anything on your calendar that you're looking forward to the most?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just playing it by ear, right? I'm just going to, in terms of the U.S., we're just kind of floating around, seeing what we can do. Obviously, I would love to go to Kalamazoo here in a couple of weeks. You never know what'll happen, right? First we'll get our engine back and get the sunset and just play it as we go. I would love to get to Toledo Speedway at the end of the year, but it's the same day as Flamborough's last Ontario Super Late Model race. So it's kind of one of these, what do you want to do? I don't know. Like, I love Flamborough deep down. Everybody knows Flamborough is my place, my playground, my favorite track. But Toledo is badass, man. Like, if no one's ever been there, it is crazy fast. We had a ton of fun.
Yeah.
There's shopping centers right across the street, so I get to go track. Laura gets to go shop. I mean, it's amazing. So I don't know. I don't really have any circled that I'm excited about. I'm excited for them all. Just kind of like no pressure, just go race, and yeah, I'm having fun so far.
Awesome, man. Well, we would love to see you run Flamborough in a couple of weeks, but we'll look forward to seeing you wherever you're racing, JR. You've got a lot of fans, and I thought it was awesome. I mean, I was about to say goodbye to you, but I want to explain. You being down there competitive in Michigan brings back the glory days for so many people who remember Don Biederman, Junior Hanley, like the best in the world stock car racers coming across the border. Like, you actually probably made people's weekend just by making them think about what it was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when they got to watch these amazing Canadians come down and race with their locals.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I've had a lot of friend requests, inbox messages, just, and not from people from Canada, man, like all from the US. So I'm proud, right? I'm very happy with how we performed. I'm a pretty humble, easygoing, don't really think about that kind of stuff kind of guy, but I really do think what we achieved there, just running up front, was pretty awesome. I mean, I got the race against guys I've been watching for a long time on the super late model side, like Steve Needles, Bozell. Like, I really look up to Bozell. I think they're amazing race car drivers, man. And yeah, I mean, I had so many fans come up to us too that even knew who we were, and I was just mind blown, right? Because like, we're from Canada, they're from the US. I never thought they watched, but they watch ABC races all the time. They watch CASCAR, they watch the Pinty stuff. So diehard race fans are all over the world, man. And like I said on a Facebook post earlier, I watched that Owasso race on YouTube, and just what the announcers were saying about us was just, it really did make me feel really good inside. And I'm not really much for emotion, but it was pretty emotional for me to watch, just because it makes me feel like all that hard work is paying off. Because like, when I hear you guys say it, it really does make me feel good. But I know you guys, so I've known Adam forever. Like, anybody who doesn't know, I've known Adam since I was like 10. So I was just thinking he was just saying that to make me feel good. So then I go to a different country and these guys are saying it. It really does make me feel proud to be a good Canadian racer. And I want more Canadians to come. Like Chase Wilson was really good this weekend, and unfortunately had a fuel pump go. So it's just awesome to see that the Canadian content's getting exposed.
totally.
Jared, one last question. One of the viewers says, Big O's not too far from the tracks you're going to. You got some time available. Any thoughts on getting back in the sprint cars? Because we know you were in one last summer.
So a lot of people don't know, at the end of the year, had a meeting with a really good team about going sprint car racing. Like, I was going. I wanted to do it. I wanted to do something different. I had an absolute amazing time when I drove Terry Baker's car. Like, it was awesome. So we tried to figure it out. I collaborated like with my wife, Laura, because anybody who doesn't know, I have a special needs daughter. She's older. We were just trying to work out all the logistics, the sitters, because I can't just get a babysitter and et cetera. So unfortunately, we figured that this year would be a bad time just to go back full time. So hopefully, maybe in a year or two, I can put another deal together and try and do a full season. Because like I've said to people who've asked, I want to do a full season in dirt at the Big O in a crate sprint, because man, what an experience. I would love to do a one-off, but anybody who knows, it's tough for any dirt guy to go one-off into a crate sprint or 360 at Oswego and be competitive. Never mind an asphalt guy to a dirt guy, but I would love the opportunity for sure. I just think I need more practice to fine-tune that craft a little bit, because it's definitely different, but I loved it. I want to be a part of it. I definitely going to go watch a bunch of races, and hey, if the opportunity was there, I would do it for sure. Just, I'm going to do it one day. Quote me on that. I'm going to do it one day.
We look forward to it, JR. thanks for accepting our invite and coming to talk about your racing. It's always fun to catch up with you. And I don't say nice things about you just because I've known you forever. So cross me a couple of times. Start talking some smack to me. I'll start saying terrible things about you.
You're just too nice of a guy, Adam. I can't talk smack anymore. I'm getting too old for all that stuff.
I get you. I feel you, man. Thanks for stopping by.
See you, JR.
See you guys.
Freddie Carlton messaged me. He's just downloading the software, so we expect to have Fast Freddie here in a couple minutes. In the meantime, let's jump into our Burger Barn videos of the week. We got a couple recaps and a different angle from a video we had before, and a couple other thoughts from some folks in the industry. Spencer, roll what we got.
But today, I want to tell you about the Raceiver Lightseaver. Now, this safety device right here is actually an in-car flagging system, and I think could be a game changer in the motorsports world, but specifically dirt racing. It is meant to be mounted somewhere in the cockpit, or it could even be zip tied just to a roll bar. You really just want it somewhere in your vision so you can utilize its key features. So to show you the features, we need this wireless transmitter here, which this would be sitting up in the race booth with maybe the DOC or any officials. And this is important because it controls what the drivers see over here. So if you power this on and then turn this on over here. So this is where things get really good. Imagine the whole field's racing. There's 24 cars out there. Someone spins out. Maybe it's really dusty. It's hard for the drivers to see. So up in the booth, they hit that button there, and it flashes yellow over here. Well, maybe actually someone spins out. Let's say someone flips in front of the field. Guys are swerving left and right, and you hit. Now, the red's flashing. So you can also clear it, but then as you can see, we got green flag, white flag, checkered. Like I said, I think this device could be key in dirt racing because there's a lot of situations where the lights are hard to see, there's cars in your way blocking your vision, and sometimes it's just flat out dusty or you're constantly pulling tear-offs because it's super muddy. And if you could have this close by in your cockpit, it could really help situations so all drivers know exactly what's going on and when we're under green flag conditions, and then when it's time to slow down and when it's time to stop. And one last thing to note, you can control the brightness, so you can set the different levels so it's not just flashing completely in your eyes and you can still see and do your job. But if you'd like to check out the Raceiver Lightseaver, you can head on over to raceiver.com. They have a whole page dedicated to this product, and man, really excited to see what this does in the motorsports world in the years to come.
I thought it was pretty neat. What do you think, Adam?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. And it incorporates a couple of features that weren't already there, but it's very similar to the RaceSafe system that was used 30 years ago.
Yeah, for sure. Spencer, do you have to download the Zoom links we send? I didn't realize that was a thing. Maybe because we use something different, but we're just waiting for Freddie to join us here. What else we got? And no, Gary, we didn't talk about
what color was it?
It was rainbow.
DuPont every week, right?
Yep.
Dale Earnhardt, what was he in?
Black Intimidator.
Rusty Wallace.
Blue Miller Lite.
Terry Labonte.
That beautiful Kellogg's car.
Mark Martin.
Valvoline.
Harry Gant.
Skull.
What was Daniel Suarez's sponsor this week?
No idea. You're opening up a topic that's probably never been opened up in this sport, and that is branding. Fans have no idea who's in what car when they turn the television on. And now I'm getting ready to make a bigger point.
Uh-oh.
If you give these teams the amount of revenue share they're asking for from you, NASCAR, you're going to get them to a point to where they can brand their car the exact same every single week and put whatever sponsorship is available on the car and work it into their own brand. Right now, that's not a thing.
I think that's a poignant argument, Adam. What's your thoughts on that?
No, it's not.
No? You don't think
Nope.
it would help build this sport if everybody's car looked the same every week?
Who's Tiger Woods' biggest supporter historically, Clinton? Who's the biggest sponsor? Nike. All right. Who's Rory McIlroy's?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, of course you can. Nobody gives a shit. Sponsors on a race car, we're a far cry from the Skull Band. Wait a second.
I can tell you, Tiger Woods wears a red shirt every Sunday for branding purposes.
Fair enough. So that it matters at that elite of the elite level. Below that, it doesn't. Sponsorships on a race car, the Skull Bandit is a far cry from the names we're going to see on the cars of the Indianapolis 500. Why is that? because they are not marketing to the fans at home. They're business-to-business deals quite often. So they're having their hospitality and their business meetings at the track. They don't give a shit if you know who they are. Name your car Herbie. I'm going to fall in love with that. But it's not about the business being done. The sponsorships, I mean, go back in the day. Race fans bought Tide laundry soap. This is what we do. We supported the people that supported racing. But anymore, it quickly got away from that because it wasn't about quote-unquote advertising. It was a different animal. So, I mean, I can tell you that Dale Earnhardt wore gargoyle sunglasses. I can tell you Tiger Woods, sponsored by Nike. Michael Jordan, sponsored by Nike. Go half a step below the uber elite. Nobody knows.
Yeah, and that's the freaking problem. Nobody knows. If you could build these guys to the point where they have brand recognition, like you just basically said, oh, as long as the business racing is good, who gives a shit what the fans think or what they know or what they care about? As long as the business to business
you
is
didn't
good,
listen to
flows,
a goddamn thing I just said. You
yeah,
waited until noise stopped coming out of my mouth. You waited until noise stopped coming out of my mouth, and you jumped in with your argument. Because if you had listened to what I said, the words and the intent behind the words, you wouldn't have let the dumbass comments fall out of your lips that just fell out. I told you why it doesn't matter what's on these cars. So I told you why the argument we just listened to doesn't hold water. Because I don't see, let's say there's a car sponsored by avocados. I'm not going to go to the store and buy avocados. I might get guacamole for an extra $1 at the Mexican place because I like it. But that's not where we're at. That's not what drives these teams. I don't give a shit. I just want these teams to be successful. So if they can sell their $1 million a race package promoting a brand that doesn't need to be promoted, they just need to have an excuse to bring 100 VIPs to the racetrack and impress them so much that their business can be successful. The byproduct of that is these race teams get to succeed.
I still think you're full of shit because here's the issue. What you just said is, yeah, the corporations will bring 100 people, but who gives a shit if everybody else knows who the drivers are? The fact that you can't see that if these guys have brand recognition, that if Ross Chain drove a watermelon car every week because he had the National Watermelon Growing Association every single week back in that car, that would help bring brand recognition to him, the sport, and everything, make it easier for these new fans we're trying to attract. How are you going to get anybody to pay attention when the guy has different? That'd be like having Connor McDavid in a different jersey wearing a different number every friggin' week. Fans are never going to follow the sport when they're trying to learn who it is. We can argue this. We can agree.
Okay, wait a second. No, I can agree that you're an idiot. You're not talking about branding.
Is throwing insults.
You're not talking about branding.
Argument other than throwing shit around. So tell me something that makes sense. No, you said as long as the corporations are happy,
you're not talking about
what the casual fan knows. You said who gives a shit if the fan knows what's going on? Who gives a shit if they can recognize the cars? As long as the corporate people are happy, that's all that matters.
That's why there's numbers on the cars. Ross Chastain drives the one car.
Bullshit. Here's where it goes back to.
He's the melon man. So your example was crap. He's always the melon man because that's ingrained in him.
Else. Let's say if he drives the Busch Light car now for the next 10 years and he can drive it every single week for this season, and he's always the Busch Light number one. That would help drive the branding of him, the sport, and it's instantly people know, oh, that is Ross Chastain.
I agree.
Hang on.
But that's not what we're talking about.
Freddie says he can see us, but he can't hear us. What does that mean? And if he's here, bring him on, please. Can you speak to me? Let me know what's going on. Do we see Freddie at all? We're trying to hold on here for him. Okay. That'd be
we'll keep arguing for a few minutes. So I could see let's go back a couple of minutes. What you're calling branding isn't branding. It's image. Branding is business. image. So if you want to say, look, Ross Chastain has to drive a blue and white car every week. I don't care what name's on it, but it's got to be a blue and white number 1 because that's how we recognize him. Just like Connor McDavid's going to wear an orange and blue number 97 each and every week, no matter what little name is on the car. I get that. That's image. You can sell T-shirts based on that. But I'm never going to limit someone to not being able to sell more marketing partnerships and sponsorships because it'll make us confused as to who they are, right? The 23 car is Bubba Wallace.
It's not about limiting them and saying you have to do it. It's about giving them a business opportunity that they wouldn't be forced to whore themselves out to a different company every week because they could get a deal that's worthwhile, that they could have that constant branding.
So why did that happen?
Or whatever you want to call it.
Why did it happen?
Because the sport got way out of control and overpriced to the point that no one company is going to give that kind of money. What you're talking about, Adam, is as long as the corporation is happy, you're going to have like sports car racing bullshit where 24 rich guys and 100 of each of their buddies go out to the track and nobody else in the world gives a flying shit about it. And that's not what the sport needs. So
I love your passion.
The business is good in sports car racing, but what the hell does it matter if no one's watching it?
The business is not good in sports car racing. I love your passion here, Clinton. I just think you've missed the mark because it doesn't matter. The cars have numbers on them. That's how we know. Alex Bowman drives the 24. Kyle Larson drives the 5. They have numbers so we can differentiate.
It was about at a heartbeat. It was imagery of the cars. Not one time in that example did they give a number of a car. It wasn't about the number. It was about
because it didn't suit their narrative. It didn't suit their narrative because they were creating a narrative that's not factual. Tony Spiteri's here. Let's say Pinty's was on a car. Scott Woods, Freshstone is on Scott Woods' car. It's going to be on the 38 car all year long. That car is going to look the same all season long. I can identify it. I can buy the T-shirt. And why? Because Scott made some sort of arrangement with Freshstone to have them as their primary partner all year long. NASCAR doesn't work like that because the teams can't function like that. So for people to get on their podcast and say, well, this is how it should be because
like
that's
that,
bullshit.
Because they don't have the money.
That's right.
They don't have the money. The business isn't proper.
So I'm sorry.
I can't believe
that
you
these
just
teams...
backed up my whole argument with your Tony Spiteri.
No, I didn't. Dude.
You said if they can get one check for the year, they can have that image. If they get everything back to where it needs to be with the TV deal, they'll get the kind of money that they can get one check, not need 20 different companies because the value is so much.
So they'll stop. Yeah, just like us, Clinton. If we sell one advertising deal, let's not sell 5 more. We got one good one. They're going to keep doing it because they can, because it's a business, because it's a capitalist society, because they can. If Glenn
pretend I give a shit what you have to say.
It's like, oh my God. Arguing with you is like, man.
I'm trying
All I want you to do is
for 2 shows in 3 weeks, but
just focus on, like, Tony's taking me for a Happy Meal. That is a win for me. But that is the point. Just because you and those 2 dudes on their podcast only want teams to have one sponsor. Can't have any more than that. Just one for the year. You got to live the year on $1 million instead of the $20 million it takes to run your team, because otherwise Clinton gets confused on what shirt he's supposed to put on when you go to Darlington.
It's not about that. You're so small-minded sometimes, it makes your big head look even tinier. Hey, here's Freddie Carlton going to join us now to take the heat off me for a minute. And we'll talk about his big win in the Brian Stevens Memorial Race. Freddie, you've been ducking us or big-timing us here for a couple weeks. I was like, I don't know what I do to piss you off, big guy, but congrats on what a run it meant last night. To pick up the win at Merrittville. Merrittville is no easy place to win. But to win the Brian Stevens Memorial is even a bigger race. Talk about your night, Freddie.
How you guys doing tonight?
Good, man.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Tell us about your win
How
last
long
night.
He just dropped.
Lost him. Freddie's in the Metropolis.
Yeah, we've got
on like a little bit tough down there with the internet. We got you.
No, I think he's gone, Clinton. So let's
Just jump in, Freddie.
Let's,
If you can hear us, start talking. No? Okay. There we go. Freddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess the connection keeps going in and out.
Freddie,
Yeah,
just
we'll
tell us
have
how
to
your
try
run
this.
went last night.
Yeah, we keep losing the connection there, guys.
Yeah. Let's try this another time. We'll get Freddie back on. A fan favorite, though. I mean, I don't think there were too many disappointed race fans last night watching Freddie fend off the advances of Scott Woods in the fresh stone number 38 repeatedly and then drive away. Pete Bicknell couldn't catch him, couldn't close in and make that move. So, Clint, would you do some homework if I gave you some homework?
Definitely not. Freddie's still here. I definitely want to hear at least one sentence from Freddie on what it was like to
Oh,
win
my
that
God.
race. So just give it to us, Freddie.
Why are you punishing us?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, just give us
You
how
guys
what
hear me
it
now?
was like to win that race. We got you, buddy. Go.
That was pretty cool. Like you guys say, I got in front there and what happened earlier in the season.
All right, send him a message, Spencer. Let him know we tried it. We'll have to get him on next week. I'll get a face-to-face with Freddie. I don't know. Do we have one more? We got at least one more video of the week, don't we? Oh, yeah. So this was in Alaska. I remember we watched this a few weeks ago. There's some wild videos of these cars. And we got to go there. It's the 4th of July Alaska event. This is how they celebrate in Alaska.
I'd like to buy you a ride in one of those cars, Clinton. I'd like to give that to you as a gift.
Love it. Love it. I just thought it was cool.
no,
Follow up when we see these videos.
That is a cool video. I think this argument that we've had is actually a pretty good one, but I think we kind of missed the boat on making our point and receiving the other side's point. Although it was fun to call you a bit of an idiot. No, I called you a full idiot. I'd like to revisit the argument, but I'd like to have it so where you make a point and I'll listen to your point, and I'll make a point and you listen to it, and let's see where we land. And because Dale Earnhardt, Intimidator wear was always black. You knew what you were buying. But that model disappeared about 20 years ago.
Mike Kerr just asked who would be my sponsor for my branding. Well, obviously, we all know. I mean, if I was an action figure, my two accessories would be a can of Pepsi and a microphone. We know that. But I don't know, man. I think that's about it. I'm tired after fighting with you, hanging out with you, talking to you.
I've got something I'd like to talk about.
What's that?
Joel handed me 2 golf shirts this weekend. You know, we showed up at CTMP. He says, Adam, 2XL going to work for you? I said, yeah, I think it will. And I put it on. Like, yeah, mint. This fit really nicely. So I took the 3XL. So 2XL fits nicely. 3XL is going to work. I can kind of balloon into it if I need to. It's a long summer. So I put the 3XL in my bag in case I get the 2XL dirty. And I thought, man, this looks really sharp. So Dave Bradley and I did our stand-up. Like, wow, Dave, you look really good too. That shirt is they're just black, so it's very slimming. Did you find your uniform slimming, Clinton?
No. I knew that was a good setup. So, yeah, I had an interesting Sunday. Started off Saturday. You know, the very first fan I saw on the pavement tracks this year was George. George rode up beside the G-Force trailer on a bicycle, and the first thing he said, man, did you ever get fat this winter? What do you do, sit around? And I'm like, well, look, I'm not that big of a dude.
Which is crazy.
I mean? I gained a few pounds. I'm up about 10. I'm still got my winter weight on, but, you know, a couple weeks in, it'll shed off. And then the next day I got to see TMP, and I got my fire suit for TSN. And last one I had, you and I both could have got in. This one was way too tight. And, I mean, the joke of it was, thank God Dean, the camera guy, was there. I'm holding it in as hard as I can, and we cannot zip this thing up. It was a joke. It needs alteration, let's say. And I did a lot of jumping jacks the last 2 days. I can tell you, standing at my computer to try and slim this sucker down. But I don't even think even on my best day I'm going to get in that. But I got in it, and I looked very svelte. That's because the girdle was holding it all in. It felt like
what did I say?
I thought we were going to have to – oh.
What did I say to
Man.
you on Sunday? And I don't throw many compliments your way. Certainly
You look
not.
really good today.
Yeah, I look down. You're about to do your stand up, and I'm at the man. He looks really good. He's ready to shine. Meanwhile, you tell me afterwards it took 3 people and a Clydesdale horse to get your suit on.
Literally. And then, so I had to take a piss before we went on the air. Well, it's got the bottom zipper, right? Because I know I'm not getting the whole top down and back up. I unzip the bottom and it just goes, boom, and now I'm standing 2 minutes before my intro. I cannot get my zipper back down. I am sure as F not calling Stan, my camera guy, to come and help me with that zipper. So I come out looking like I had the worst time in the bathroom ever. He's like, "You throwing up in there?" I'm like, "No, man, sweating, trying to get it all back together." Oh my goodness. Yeah, crazy weekends. Yeah, people ask me, this is actually why we're here. I rotated a bit. The Musco lighting got readjusted today, got cleaned, and all the bulbs were changed last weekend. So that's why I'm out here tonight. As soon as we get off here, it should be dark enough for us to go do a walk around and see if we're happy with the results. I'm actually here at the Tech Barn. And yeah, bugs aren't bad. If I look over by the light, they're just not biting me, though. There are some bugs out here tonight. But it's racing season at the Big O, man. We're excited to get going Friday and karting on Sunday for the first practice of the year. So excited to be back at it.
No, it'll be awesome. And really, of all places, the fact that you're upgrading the lights at the best lit racetrack in Ontario, with the exception maybe of Jukasa, which isn't running right now, is pretty impressive.
And no, Mike, we can't turn them on and off in 15 minutes. That was the $400,000 plus upgrade that we didn't go with. It was more like 25 to get where we are tonight. So that's why I'm out here to sign off on the work. They actually came in from Oskaloosa, Oklahoma, and down from New Jersey to get this done. So they travel a long way. We're going to try and get it. Yeah, I could probably get a picture of my new suit dispenser, but it doesn't do it justice because it holds it all in well. But it was tight at the time. And, yeah, I get one over to Spencer quick, I'm sure, to the boys here. But, yeah, it was not a pleasant experience. I can tell you it was certainly a tight one. There you go, Spencer. I just sent you one. Another one of me and Todd Lewis. But it got so bad at him, I actually had to take soap and rub it on the zipper so we could hopefully get the zipper up. But, man, it looks good, but it was tight.
Actually, that waist is tight. That almost looks like a female fit. It comes in so tight at the belt line.
Listen to you.
No, you know what? Look at it.
Though.
Yeah.
No. So I dropped my water bottle, and you think I could bend over and pick it up? I'm like, "Oh, Stan, you got to help me out here." See there, it looks normal, Ben, but woo, we're bulging out. So,
well, I wouldn't go that far.
Hopefully, Gary had a good time at the dirt track last night. We did. Good hanging out with you, buddy. This is our last kind of chill out weekend. We got Friday. That's all this weekend, and then it's every Saturday from here on till October. It's going. I think our next few Saturdays after this are Chaudière, Quebec, Flamborough, Peterborough, Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, Delaware. It gets silly for the next little while for us. So thank you, everybody, for joining out with us here tonight. We appreciate you hanging out with us. It's been a little bit overtime. We hung out trying to get Fred Carlton on. We'll go check out these lights and see how they look for tomorrow, and I should say Thursday, Friday. Maybe we can go take a walk, see if it'll work before we head out. Anything else you want to say, Adam, before we go?
Nah, just folks, enjoy this upcoming weekend of racing, however you choose to. Be ready to talk about it next week. Talk about what your favorite part is of American Memorial Day weekend, because it is a phenomenal race weekend. And let us know what you think. We don't know, and Clinton would know better than I would, but I don't know how many people watched the APC race, but I guarantee you whoever did had to be impressed with the on-track product.
Oh, yeah, the racing was awesome. To see the Shaw family do as good as they did. I will sign off now in case I drop out because I'm walking farther and farther away from the internet. But I'm just trying to take you guys down and show you some of the improvements and maybe some of the lights here and see if it makes much of an improvement here.
Oh, it was going so well, too. Oh, please, Spencer, please tell me we can record all that audio. Because every time I
think you
introduce
might have
Clinton
lost
for
me
the
there,
rest of
eh?
my life.
Can you still
Yeah,
hear me?
now we can. Now we can. No, and then he kept going. All right, so on behalf of Clinton, I'm Adam Ross, and thank you for joining us tonight. Clint's trying his damnedest, but it's just not going to play out. So we will see you next Tuesday on GeForce TV with Rivalz Race Chat, 8 o'clock p.m.